Amon-Ra, St. Brown, heading to the moon. Shall we take a little trip to the moon, Amon-Ra? We sent you last year, pal.
To the moon.
Jameson Williams, is he a buy low? We're breaking it all down and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Smitty. We're back for a little more Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams talk. NFL slapping a 6-game suspension on Jameson Williams after betting on college sports on the facility or on the bus or both. There are several other players that were in trouble, some of which gambled on the NFL and are looking at over a year-long suspensions. Tony, Cephas, we got CJ Moore, all out for an indefinite suspension, an indefinite amount of time. That means at least 1 year per the course that they took with Ridley. So we're looking at with Jameson Williams. This guy didn't gamble on NFL football. He gambled on college sports, but did it on the facility, which is against the policy, which is why he gets a 6-game suspension. Now that we're back, though, we've digested it a little bit. We've got to ask ourselves, are we willing to buy low on this man named Jameson Williams? Are we willing to buy low or sell? Why do I got St. Brown over here? I got Jameson Williams over here. Let me see. Brown. There we go. Are we willing to buy high on St. Brown? Are we willing to buy low on Jameson? Let's talk about that for a majority of the beginning part of the show. We got voicemails coming in. We got Terry Roberts with a voicemail.
St. Brown or Olave with Jameson's suspension?
St. Brown or Olave? That's a great question, Terry. If I had to pick a player, I suppose I would say St. Brown is probably the guy you want to grab ahead of the other, but I think Olave at cost of entry in round 3 is more appealing than St. Brown, where St. Brown could climb. Meaning St. Brown at the end of 2/3, I was okay with that. It was a little high given that Jameson was about to potentially take some of his touches and targets, but if St. Brown's going to climb from what is probably around 2.10 to 3.2, let's say, he climbs into the 2.4, 2.5, 2.6 territory, I'd rather take Kenneth Walker in the second round and then come in and grab Olave in the third round for context of cost of entry argument. So does depend on what we're talking about. If we're talking about cost of entry or if we're talking about who will outscore the other. I mean, the odds are St. Brown will outscore Olave, but I would not put it past Olave to be a top 4 or 5 or number 3 wide receiver in the National Football League in 2023. I love Chris Olave. Chris Olave is probably my favorite player right now at cost of entry. He's definitely my favorite, like, 3rd or 4th round player right now because he's just such an amazing value. He holds Garrett Wilson upside. Garrett Wilson's going in the top 8 to 14 overall, and Olave has the exact same appeal to me. The exact same appeal, the exact same upside. No more risk even. I would say right now in the current state of what's going on in New York with Aaron Rodgers not on roster yet, maybe Olave's safer. So, it's a great question, and it comes down to context, but give me the man known as Olave at cost of entry over St. Brown. But this does not mean I'm not excited about St. Brown. This doesn't mean this news right here, 6 games out for Jameson Williams, this doesn't mean that this guy right here, St. Brown, that you're staring at right now, he's looking at you too. He's looking at you because he knows you doubted him. And this guy remembers everything. I don't want to be on his bad side. The chip on this guy's shoulder is growing by the second. And he knows every player that was drafted ahead of him. He glares at them across the sideline. This guy's hungry. And he got injured last year. I don't think that's going to be a regular thing for him. His dad's Mr. Universe back-to-back, I believe. Mr. Universe winner. This guy knows how to train. He trained his son. His son got banged up. It was ironic. You know, we said this guy would probably never get hurt, St. Brown, because of his father. Ended up getting banged up, but I don't feel like it's going to be lingering. I don't think St. Brown's injury prone. And I'm willing to give him a clean slate as far as injuries are concerned. And we know that the targets and force feeding will be there. So it's tough to know. Phone lines are open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Personally, I'm still intrigued by this buy low on Jameson Williams situation. Because, let's be frank, I mean, this is going to plummet his value. He's going to be destroyed in fantasy football drafts everywhere. This guy's value is going to be, like, just blasted to pieces. And so, at some point, he's going to fall into a territory where you're going to want to maybe scoop him up, especially if maybe, we don't know. I don't even know if this suspension can be minimized because of the severity or the type of suspension that it is. It may not. But because potentially it could, I suppose. We don't know yet. We'll find out on that. We don't have all the ins and outs of the situation ironed out yet. I'll tell you that. We're waiting on, further clarification on a few things. But this guy could potentially see a lesser suspension. And if he does, let's say he gets 3 or 4 games, and I don't know that they're going to minimize it. The guy basically, he had an apology. Let me throw the apology up. Right now and see if I can read that to you guys. This is crazy though. It's if it's not one thing, it's another. Let's see if I can find this statement. Yeah, it's from Alliance Sports. Let me put this up on screen here, and then you guys can take a look at it and we'll read it together. But he's taking accountability. However, the verbiage in this is tough to know if it's going to be potentially some sort of, appeal for a lesser sentence, because the sentence is crazy. The sentence is not, it's not really that logical, because he didn't bet on NFL football. He bet on college sports, and he's getting 6 games. But statement from Jameson Williams' representation. Alliance Sports confirms that its client, Jameson Williams, has been suspended by the NFL for 6 games for violating the NFL's gambling policy. Jameson takes full responsibility for his actions and is very apologetic to the NFL, his teammates, and the fans and the city of Detroit. However, it is important to note that Jameson's violation was not for betting on football, but rather due to a technical rule regarding the actual location in which the online bet was placed and which would otherwise be allowed by the NFL outside of the club's facility. Jameson would never intentionally jeopardize the integrity of the game he loves so much and looks forward to getting back to his team as soon as possible. So you take that for what it's for what you deem it to be. And maybe he appeals it. I don't know that he can appeal it. Again, that's something we'll have to find out. But if you can buy low on this guy and get him around wide receiver 40 or 50, which is what we kind of plotted out on the first live stream. We just went through name after name after name, and it felt like we got past Kadarius Toney. It felt like we got past Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and all those guys. And once we got to a territory that seemed to be like, what was the name? Let me go to the rankings again on thefantasyfootballshow.com. We got to like Lazard at like 40. This is like wide receiver 40, 45, around that territory. Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks. A lot of people say Brandon Cooks is better than Jameson given the 6 games, and I can understand that. Traylon Burks, I can understand why you want that. But Gabe Davis, Kadarius Toney, Lazard, Hodgins, I like Hodgins a lot. Jacoby Myers, Lockett, Mike Thomas, Hyatt, the rookie, Rashid Shaheed, Josh Downs, Peoples Jones, Deontay Johnson. Look how far Deontay's fallen. Tyler Boyd, KJ Osborne. I mean, we're talking about like 45 to like 55 that I just read there. No exact order, just throwing names out that I'm seeing here. Slayton, Elijah Moore, I believe that he still holds value similar to those names to some degree. Maybe one or two of those guys you love a lot more, and that's fine. I understand that. And there's definitely an argument to be made. Don't think you can't argue any of those names over Jameson. But in a nutshell, Jameson falling to that territory seems pretty reasonable. And I think I'd buy him or draft him at that territory, hoping the suspension got minimized. And if it didn't, this guy comes out on a holy terror. There's one thing I want to make clear is his talent doesn't just vanish because of this. We do worry about rust, but at the same time, we can't really look at 2022 as a year where he collected rust. That was his ACL recovery year. So 6 more games, I don't know if it's going to do much damage to his like momentum or hold him back. He's still a young guy. And I think people forget that if this had not happened, it's going to be very easy for people to forget. Very, very easy to forget. But if this didn't happen, you have some people saying he's going to take over. And now no one's going to say it, and nobody feels it. Everyone's just going to write this guy off. 6 games feels like an eternity, but I can promise you this. You could be you're going to be in midseason form next year, okay? And you're 4-2, and he's been sitting on your bench. And all of a sudden you're 4-2, and you go into week 7, and you get him back, and you're like, hey, I drafted him. It sucked that I was without him, but I'm 4-2 right now. It's all good. Or I'm 5-1, and now he gets to come in, and he's going to be able to rest that knee a little bit more, rehab the knee a little bit more. Could be silver lining in this whole thing, and maybe he comes out and becomes a top 12 wide receiver. I just think it's important not to completely write him off, and I'd say in Dynasty, I'm definitely attacking via trade. The Bruce is on the line. What's up?
Now, do you think with this, it should affect the Kamara situation? Like, he should be suspended longer now?
I don't know that the NFL connects dots on anything, bro. I don't think you would think that, right? You would think, okay, we just handed out some suspensions. What do we do with Camaro? This looks bad. The optics look bad. They look bad, boys. What do we do? They're in a boardroom looking around at each other's faces. We're going to go golfing later, but right now we got to deal with this Kamara thing real quick. What are we going to do? I think in our world, we think that way, Bruce. In the NFL's world, right. I think they just wait until there's pressure, and then they act if they need to. They cover up things if they need to. Not saying they're covering up necessarily directly, but like avoiding the conversation, so to speak. So.
And go ahead.
I just feel like the Alvin Kamara situation, if it rears its ugly head in a way that the NFL's got to react, people are streaming the video over and over. Yeah, Smitty, when can become an OG of the show? What does that mean, Rockout? Rockout, you're an OG already. You're already an OG. What do you mean, Rockout? What's Rockout saying? He's one of the biggest OGs here. I don't know, bro. If I had to guess, I would say Kamara is just subject to the amount of media pressure that gets applied, and I think that if he pleads out to the conspiracy charge, which is what Tony, the attorney, has said on our show that is possible. He's not saying it's 100% going to happen or anything, but we mapped this out. We talked about it. It makes a lot of sense that he pleads, and in that plea, this is not a settlement. This is not a cutting a deal. Pleading is in a sense admitting some form of guilt, and there are ways to plea without admitting guilt or innocence, but it's looked at in a way that it's like that's not innocent. But if you plea out on a misdemeanor, and it is a misdemeanor, the conspiracy charge, and let's say that includes reparations in the medical category of $1 million in medical damages that are unrelated to the civil lawsuit, completely separate, but there will be medical damages potentially in this plea, and that's in a way you could say like a form of how do you settle? You can't settle. You can't, like a lot of people say, this will go away, he'll settle with them. You can't do that. This is criminal. That's civil you're talking about. Criminal doesn't go away. The DA's involved. It's a jury. The DA's involved. This isn't any sort of settlement, but you can plea. And a plea is the DA offers a plea. It's an admission of some sort, admission of guilt, or like Tony mapped out, there is a way to, you're not admitting guilt, you're not admitting innocence, but it's not a good look. And you're basically pleading out on the conspiracy charge. And maybe this victim wants to do that and pushes the DA to allow that, which is up to the DA at that point. But because then it will give this individual closure, it will give him his medical fees, he can move on with a civil litigation, and so there's a real strong possibility that Kamara gets that misdemeanor, which would then ultimately resort to a small 4 to 6 game suspension, regardless of what the video shows, because it's because of the charge. To the letter of the law, a misdemeanor, like a conspiracy to commit, the battery or whatever, that is going to be a 4 to 6 game suspension. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy that Kamara can walk around preparing for 2023 while Jameson bets on, I don't know, the women's basketball NCAA tournament final, maybe. We don't know what he was doing. He could have been betting on men's volleyball. He could have been betting on, I don't know, track and field. We have no idea what he was in. Maybe it was college football. They said it wasn't football, but I don't know. Like when you read this right here, this by his representation, it says, however, it's important to note that Jameson's violation was not for betting on football. So this tells me he wasn't even betting on, according to this, wasn't even betting on college football. He was betting on badminton. Women's volleyball, men's volleyball, crochet, some crocheting contest, spelling bee. We don't know what he was betting on, but he did it on the facility, which is bad on him, right? But at the same time, you know what Ian Rappaport reported today? That he read over the gambling policies recently, and he didn't remember seeing that. Not that it wasn't there, not that it's been planted in there or something. He's saying that he didn't remember seeing it. It was not something that the language made sense to him to where he remembered it. He literally said, I didn't recall this in there, and nobody knows about it. Like, so to sit here and say, oh, Jameson had to have known, you could argue that why is he and 5 other individuals the only ones? Maybe they won't be. Maybe they come forward with more cases or whatever. But why are there only 5 people? Why were there 2 Lion players though? Like I guess your buddies, you get together and you're like, let's drop a bet on this. I get that, but it seems a little odd. It also seems a little odd that it's 2 players that maybe, in my mind, this is my guesswork at work here. This is my guesswork going to town. I'm just letting you know. But these are 2 obscurely out of touch with what was going on last year in terms of gameplay, rehabbing his knee. The other guy, no one even knew who he was. So these Lion players, one of which is a big profile guy in Jameson that was not in touch with everything going on. Was he doing his ACL rehabilitation when there were some meetings going on and they talked about this? Or is this something where, he knew, someone told him and he still didn't listen? I don't know. But all I know is when Ian Rappaport and everyone that's reporting on it had no clue about this, I didn't know. Ian Rappaport didn't know. Schefter probably didn't know. Nobody knew about this rule of you can't bet on college volleyball while you're in the bus driving off the facility. And I'm not saying that my mind wouldn't work that way. It honestly would. If I was a professional athlete, I would be petrified of everything that was betting related. I'd probably call my agent up and go, hey, I'm playing tic-tac-toe with grandma right now. We'll put a $5 bill on the middle of the table. Am I in some trouble if someone records this? I would be so worried about wagering at all. But at the same time, I'm going to keep flipping the script back and forth because I think there's arguments to be made on all sides here. At the same time, this is a league that's shoving all of this down everybody's throat in commercials and sponsorships. And so these guys are seeing it all over. It looks widely accepted by the league. And maybe they lessen up on their, I wonder if this is bad. Austin Eckler and Darren Waller were in a league of mine. I drafted in a league with Austin Eckler and Darren Waller. I played in a fantasy league with both of them. and there was the entry fee went to a charity, but there was technically an entry fee. I'm not trying to get these two in trouble. I'm just saying, so like, what does a guy like Jameson think when the league's shoving it down everybody's throat? I'm in a league with Darren Waller and Eckler, and they both are in this league, and someone would say that fantasy is a game of skill. It's football. It's fantasy football. Austin Eckler can draft himself. Here's the question. Here's the question to pose, and I'm not trying to throw Austin Eckler under the bus. God willing, I don't want this to go in that direction. I hope. Kind of tempted to not even talk about this, but tell me what's different. Somebody come in here, dial into the show. Tell me that I'm wrong here. Is Jameson Williams betting on men's volleyball or track and field or badminton? Is that more dangerous to the integrity of the game, which the policy should ultimately be looking to support that, right? Or even in a free league, let's say there was no entry fee, which there was to donate to charity. Let's say it was free. But Austin Eckler is playing in a fantasy league where he drafts himself and he wants himself to do well, or, you know, a player could say do bad or whatever. What's more dangerous to the integrity of the game? It's the discrepancies and the difference of, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, you could play in a fantasy league. You could have an Eckler's, you know, show that he does, this fantasy football breakdown podcast that he does, where he's talking about, see, I'm glad you drafted me, you should draft me, talking about leagues where he's been drafted in. How is this not being talked about? I don't want that to happen for Eckler. I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm even like weird. I feel weird talking about this. But it's like, how is that okay? But Jameson is getting something that feels like to the letter of the law is intended to protect the integrity of the league. What about all those things? It doesn't make sense. Nothing is lining up. Nothing feels like it's representing all the angles and levels of this thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, so now I got one more.
Yeah.
Now, do you think the Lions, now that the 6-game suspension is going to happen, you think they might just take a receiver just to replace him for them 6 games, like draft one and then say, now we got 3?
It's possible. I do think 6 games is not something you change your entire. It's not something you change your entire like future and build a, you know, and dismantle your plans of attack. So if the Lions were intending maybe looking at a wide receiver in round 2 or 3, could they bump that up to a Zay Flowers, I suppose? Could they bump that up to a Hyatt in round 2? A Boutte in round 2 or 3 or wherever he falls? He'd probably go round 2. Yeah, certainly possible. DeAndre Hopkins, certainly possible. Maybe they were thinking about trading for him anyway, and now they're like, let's pick up the phone and let's secure Hopkins. It's always possible, but at the same time, my logic here, and it doesn't mean my logic's going to be correct, because what I think and what the team thinks are two entirely different things, right? But my logic would say that it's 6 games, and you drafted this kid for a reason, and the only mistake he's made is this mistake, which I believe the coach is probably going. But at the same time, as he's shaking his head, he's probably shaking his head like at both.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Ziggy, shut up. He's probably shaking his head at the same time equally at player and at policy. Because this policy is jacked up. It's a strange policy. You know, 6 game, it'd be one thing if it was like, you know, 1 or 2 game suspension, a fine. How about a big fine? Hey, we told you not to bet on women's volleyball or men's badminton. We told you not to bet on it on the facility, even though it's totally legal to, so you're getting fined. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I would understand. I'd be like, yeah, I don't think any one of us would have a problem. We'd be in here saying, next topic. I really don't care. You should have read the rules, J-Mo. You should have read the rules. But 6 game suspension, lumping it into the gambling on the NFL feel and like, that's the box he's being put in. It's crazy. It's crazy. People need to remember how talented he is. People need to remember that this could derail everything, or it may not. You got to look at the cost of entry before you start making snap judgments. St. Brown is going to get force-fed amazing amounts of targets, and he's going to absolutely explode in the first 6 weeks of the season. That alone might put him on a trajectory to be a top 4, top 5 wide receiver. There is some thinking to, okay, well, once Jameson comes back, do you sell St. Brown? That'll be a discussion. I'm not saying I would for sure do it, but this guy's going to get a massive amount of targets early on, and then they're going to get dialed back a little bit after the reemergence of Jameson. So, is he a sell-high candidate walking out of week number 5, 6? Maybe. We'll talk about that when the time comes. We'll see how he's playing. We'll see how we feel. We'll see how dominant he looks. We'll see if this might be a fly that's a gnat that's buzzing around him. Like this might be nothing. He might be on such a course of fire that it's not even it's not even a thought. Like, oh, who cares about Jameson Williams? But Jameson Williams is a very, 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 very good wide receiver prospect.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see, bro. There's no right answer here. All we know is that St. Brown is going to be force fed. This guy's going to get, keep in mind, he was a target machine coming out of his kind of emerging year, where then we sprung that into the 2022 Moonman season. So he was like a target monster, like double-digit targets. I think he was number 1 or number 2, if I remember correctly, in the NFL in targets in the last, I want to say 5 or 6 games. I'm kind of going off of my memory here, so I could be wrong by a game or 2 or a spot. But I think it was 1 or 2 in the NFL coming out of his rookie season in the last 6 games. It was literally Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, St. Brown. Those are the top 3 guys in the last 6 games in targets. Then he comes into 2022 as a absolute boss and moon man.
To the moon.
And, he gets hurt, but he still has a really good year. Some would say he cooled off at the end of the season. Let's take a look at his game log and bring that up. But St. Brown's got a boatload of talent, an absolute boatload of talent and ability to become a top 5 wide receiver, or some would say maintain that top 5 wide receiver value. He didn't score a single receiving touchdown in weeks 14 through 18, which was disappointing. He did get banged up during the season. He did kind of have an up and down year all in all due to the injuries, and just, that is what it is. And you can take it for what it is, but look at this guy. He definitely has had a good year, had a banged up season. The last 14, 15, 16, 17, last 5 games were not amazing. No touchdowns, no over 76-yard games. But before that, 114-2, 122-1 against Buffalo and Jacksonville. Very good matchups too. Giants, 76 yards. Week 10, Chicago, 119 yards. Week number 9, 4 for 55. Week 1 and 2, he was a baller. 12 targets. Look at that. 8 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown in week 1. 12 targets, 9 catches for 116 and 2 in week number 2. He was an absolute machine in those first 2 games. And he got banged up, kind of struggled for a long time, well over a month. And so, the way I look at it is that you got to throw that portion out and say to yourself, this is a guy that can pull in 13 or 14 100 yards and 10 to 14 touchdowns. 10 plus touchdowns for St. Brown in this season, approaching where he's got 6 games of being the man and then still in a whole opportunity to still be the man. It's not like he's going to drop off, but the targets could go down a little bit, but who cares? What if he's extra efficient? What if he does more with his less targets because defensive attention's a little more worried about Jameson? There you go. And this guy plays the slot like a monster, And guess what? Slot wide receivers are very hard to double team and defend. They're moving all over the field. They got different players guarding them constantly. This guy plays in the slot. He's a slot monster. And so, you could talk about it 100 different ways. 100 different ways.
Yep. All right. That's about all I have for you.
All right, Brucey.
All right.
Call back if you have something else, bro.
Yep, I will.
Later. Steve B says, where does St. Brown go in redraft with this news? I think he's going to go too high, unfortunately. Where I see this heading is like in a direction of like 12 to 15 overall. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he falls in the 18 to 24, 25 range, hopefully. But he's second round bound for sure. If he was even sniffing the third round, if he was even lingering in the third round, this feels like he's now going to live in the, I would say, mid second round, look for lucky late second round, but it could be early second round. St. Brown has some nice design runs for him this year too. Yeah, let me pull up his running stats, which were pretty nice. 9 for 95. I guess I won't pull it up. I'll just speak it. 9 for 95 yards. I mean, he could be a 150-yard rushing wide receiver with 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns. Certainly a feasible number, I think. So, yeah, I think everybody's got to be looking at the situation from a couple different angles. I don't think anybody should be taking away this, is a concrete, he's going to be an absolute monster all year long because of this, because Jameson's going to fall to the wayside and not ever return to form or become the guy that he was going to become. I don't think anybody should be looking at it from that lens. I think that it's a huge boost to his week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6 value, to the degree of him being top 5 or top 4 to 6 for that time frame. And when you get that big of a head start on the year, your week 7 through 17, even if they're a little lesser, you have such a jump on your statistical categories that you finish as a 5 or 6 or 7 wide receiver. So you just got to ask yourself if you want to potentially look to trade him after week 6 and buy low on somebody else that might be getting going, or just ride it out. Say a little less targets, maybe he's more efficient. Maybe he doesn't get 11 or 12 targets a game. He goes down to 9, but he catches more touchdowns in that time frame. Like, I mean, look at what I just pulled up. Like, if let's say St. Brown, you got 12 targets in week 1, 12 targets in week 2. Let's say he, during the struggle period, when he was on the struggle bus and he was banged up, let's say he pulled in a 5-yard touchdown, a 1-yard touchdown a couple times in this territory, then it doesn't matter that his targets and yardage dropped. Like, his touchdown production could go up with Jameson back. And for that reason alone, I'd say it's a little reckless to assume that overall he's not going to score the same. It just might be divided up differently, spread out differently. But, yeah. Thank you, Prime. Appreciate you. Chargers might not take offense first round. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack are likely gone next year. They need edge depth. Michael K. CPA in the building. Appreciate you. It looks like we got a couple of super chats. We got Ron Navy was second in the building. JCIM was first. Lunchbox was third. Peanut Butter and Waivers in the building. Axe, appreciate you. Space Ricky. Tanner in the building. Max in the building. Bruce, Belichick yourself. Appreciate all of you. Max filing in here. Travis Rowe. Danny P. Lyndon, appreciate you all. Wild Bill Hickok's in the chat. Let's see if we've got a couple supers. I think we do. And I want to make sure I take care of my super chats. I still don't know what you mean, Rock Out. I didn't see your response about being an OG. Of course you're an OG. You're always an OG. What did I do to offend you so? To where you don't feel like an OG? Rock Out says the NFL and NBA never consistent. Shaking my head. Agreed, Rock Out. Appreciate you for dropping another WAD super chat on screen. The Lions went St. Brown when they absolutely needed it. St. Brown's going to be a monster. Debo is half running back, says Max. And that's going to be maybe his potential pitfall. his downfall. Amon-Ra over Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson over CeeDee Lamb, says Love Stars. I can't get mad at that ranking. You could easily have it in any order. I could totally get behind it. Lions will face stacked boxes. I don't know that this does that. Hod, feel free to call in, but why do you think that the Lions are going to face stacked boxes when they didn't really have Jameson Williams last year? He wasn't really doing anything, bro. It's like he was going to be the gravy that put this offense in a better spot than it was last year. But the Lions did fairly well, and I think Monty and Swift are dynamic enough, and they might be on the field at the same time more than we think because of this information. I don't really know why you would think that there would be stacked boxes. St. Brown's stretching the field still. You know, they've got other wideouts, bro, and they've got 2 running backs that can catch the football. And they've got a very dynamic coaching staff and play calling setup. I don't really know that I would say stack boxes seems very logical. I call in. I'd love to talk about it with you. And maybe you convince me, but I don't think you will. Because I feel like they've got a pretty dynamic offense. And Jameson Williams was yet to even be presented to us. So it's like, what was he? What are we losing ultimately? Nothing. We were just potentially going to gain a whole lot more offensive flexibility and field stretching with the addition of J-Mo. Even if they do face stack boxes, Monty is used to facing stack boxes. That's correct. Monty's used to facing stack boxes with Nagy nagging him in the ear too. Like, who knows what Monty's going to do? A lot of Monty's career had Matt Nagy holding him back. Maybe he gets over to this Detroit situation and he scores 12 touchdowns, which is down a lot from his former predecessor who scored 17, a.k.a. Jamal Williams, a.k.a. as Denny calls him, Javante. Have you ever seen Javante and Jamal in the same room? Denny hasn't. Won't face stack boxes, but St. Brown will be doubled. Make someone else beat them. But Matt O, I appreciate the comment, but at the same time, Jameson wasn't really even relevant or around last year, and they couldn't really contain St. Brown. Plus, he plays the slot, bro. It's really hard to double guys like Cooper Kupp and St. Brown in the slot. That's why the slot's becoming so popular at the NFL level, because it's a position that's an amazing position for wide receivers, and it's really hard to double a wide receiver in the slot. They're moving around constantly. Mom, the meatloaf, we want it now, says Rock Out. Rock Out, appreciate you. Tanner dropping a $5 holler. Tanner says, I saw the news at lunch at work and went straight to Smitty's YouTube channel, and boom, he was live. Love the channel, Smitty. I found my home. Haha. Appreciate you, Tanner. You've been here for a while, right? Haven't you? So you found your new home a long time ago. Monty is stacked. Amon-Ra has a knack to get open. He'll be fine, says D-Town. St. Brown doubled from slot. Doubtful. Those were St. Brown's TDs. I don't know what that means, but I agree with it because it says TD and St. Brown in the same sentence. So give me some. I need to start drafting more Amon-Ra St. Brown. I also go with someone else because this news is fantastic for him. I also go with someone else, but this news is fantastic for him. Well, I don't really know what all that means, but what I can tell you is St. Brown's value is going to climb up. So if now is the time you want to draft him, you're going to have to pay the price. You know, drafting him a little earlier was probably the more advantageous move, but it doesn't mean he can't earn amazing value. St. Brown's the reason why Jamal Williams had that many touchdowns, because every time he caught the ball, he landed on the 1 yard line. That is also partially true. St. Brown had so many of those opportunities where it's like, goodness gracious, man, just get in the end zone already. St. Brown will be fed. I think you mean fed. And like Adams was with Rodgers, force-fed St. Brown is what we're going to probably call him walking into 2023. Force-fed Amon-Ra. Force-fed Amon-Ra. Detroit should grab a tight end from this loaded class. Kincaid would be amazing. Darnell Washington, of course. I think that also is a great move because then it doesn't necessarily step on the position the toes, so to speak, of Jamo, so he can come back in and be the guy, but it also does help provide some of that, pass catching opportunity that's going to be needed in this situation. Super chat dropping. I didn't have it active on the super chats. This should animate now. I apologize for that. Love what this is doing to the other wide receivers, ADP, Lamb, Diggs, Adams, getting healthy, knockback. It's a true statement. We'll have to see how deep St. Brown can penetrate into the top wide receiver crew and see if he can just knife into a tier above them and shove a couple guys down. Certainly possible. We'll have to play that by ear as the ADP data gets updated. Michael K. CPA, $3 12-person underdog draft. Use promo code Smitty. Get on over there. Rock out. Appreciate you. Not yet though, Michael K. CPA. We got a live stream we're doing here. Rock out says, Smitty, where is your Prime? It's right here, Rock out. My delivery was so late. I've been without Prime for like a week and a half. It's been miserable, and now I get the delivery. It all comes flying in, and I just hit on my reorder. I just hit it now. I just send it now because they're so delayed on everything. So I've got another one I'm going to open right here. I've been drinking these things for over a couple months now, and so when I ran out for a week and a half, it was kind of a shame. I was pretty upset about it. Rock out. Appreciate you, buddy boy. St. Brown is a top 5 wide receiver next year, especially in PPR. Mike speaking the truth. A little bit of Captain Obvious material here right now, Mike, in this room. But we love you. We appreciate you. And Mike he's not wrong. Mike is spitting facts, ladies and gentlemen. Whether they're obvious or not, he's spitting them. He's bleeding facts right now. I mean, he's at least in the 5 to 7, argument. I mean, we did a ranking right here. We did a ranking right here on the board here, and this is, in general, loosely based. JJ, Chase, Kupp, Hill, Diggs, Wilson, Amon-Ra could easily jump right into the middle here and be 5. Some might have him 4, and I don't blame a single one of you. I don't blame a single one of you for having him number 4. Why would I consider you crazy? There it is. JJ, Chase, Cooper, Kupp, Hill. Is it Amon-Ra or is it Diggs? Is it Diggs then Wilson? Is it Wilson, Amon-Ra, Diggs? You know what this tells me? There is an amazing opportunity in fantasy football 2023 to move down. Video incoming. Video inbound. Smitty approved draft strategy approaching.
You've just been Smitty approved.
New draft strategy approaching and inbound. Video coming. Draft pick trading. I know you guys love draft pick trading, but we take our first rounder. Okay? We take our first rounder, we move our first rounder down into round 2, we get rid of it. Now we've got 2 second moving in the second round. Now we got 2 second round picks. But what do we get for that? Well, we got ourselves another third rounder. So we got somebody's third rounder and second rounder for our first rounder. Yeah, we probably had to kick back another pick later on, but you want to make sure it's as late as possible. You've got a third and you've got your original third. So now you've got your original 4th. You've got 2 third rounders, 2 second rounders. You gave up your first. Maybe you gave up your 6th round pick. So you gave up your 6th round pick. 6th round and first rounder for a third and a second. Now you can maybe maneuver this 5th rounder and your 4th rounder to get back into the 3rd round, let's say. And now you draft a monopoly. Now you go get 3 St. Browns. You go get 3 St. Browns. You go get a Kenneth Walker. You go get a Watson. You get a Joe Burrow. Now you have 5 picks in the top 3 rounds. Now you get, let's call St. Brown your first pick. You get St. Brown right here. Let's go back over to this view because it's a little bigger. You get St. Brown right here. Brown, Maybe you get Walker. Maybe you get, I don't know. Let's call this Olave and Burrow. Let's call this Bijan and St. Brown and Walker. So Bijan, St. Brown, and Walker. Is anybody not driving straight to the bank on that team? With that team? We got Bijan, Walker, St. Brown, Olave, Burrow. These are things you can make. These are teams you can assemble with draft pick trading. Who's not winning with that team? Who's not winning with that team? Someone call in and tell me this isn't winning a league. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. What platform can you trade draft picks? What platform can you not trade draft picks? ESPN? Why are you playing on ESPN anyway? Like, draft pick trading is one of the most fun things you can do. That's like saying I have a television, but I don't watch it. You got draft picks and you're not trading them? Sleeper, you could trade draft picks. My Fantasy League, you could trade draft picks. I don't know. Playing on ESPN doesn't sound like the best option, in my opinion. I mean, you walk straight to the league safe office and you say, I need an advance on my team. Then we don't do that, sir. Let me show you my team. Let me show you my team. There's my team. You show it to them, and they say, you all come on in here and take a look at this. And they gather around the window, the bulletproof glass, and they say, look at this man's team. You're slapping it up against the glass. They invite you in the back. They give you a nice coffee from the espresso machine, and they sit you down and they go to the league safe, virtual safe, and they pull out your cash and they hand it to you early. I don't know if this will actually happen, but goodness gracious, this is one of the best teams I've ever seen. I would call in, but I'm banned until Christmas, says Steven. I don't think that's true. JC, I am celebrating 1 month on the YouTube exclusive membership, free Steven. Steven's not banned. When ESPN adds the rookies, it will be okay, says Hod Prime. I'm still waiting for somebody to call in and tell me this isn't winning your league. This trade package right here. You made 2 trades. You traded your first rounder down. Why are we sitting in round 1 anymore? Unless you got JJ or Jamar Chase. Why are we drafting in round 1? Why would anybody want to draft in round 1 if you could get a second and a third for a first and a 6? And maybe you can't land that every time. You know what I'm saying? Why is Steven banned? Free Steven, this ain't right. Probably just to mess with you, Love Stars. That's probably what he's doing it for. Read the room, Love Stars. St. Brown is St. Brown is going to be better without Jameson Williams. Is going to be better without Jameson Williams. Maybe you're saying a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Okay. Is a 4th and a 7th an overpay for an early 3rd? Yeah, it depends how far apart the 4th and 3rd are. If it's almost like 2 rounds in a sense, then sure. But you essentially want to give up you want to get a 3rd and a 2nd for a 1st. But if you're going to go get a 1st, let's say you want to try and give up a 2nd and a 6th, or a 2nd and maybe a 5th. But I don't even like doing that. I don't like doing that. I'd like trading down. Why would I somebody call in and tell me this. After Jamar Chase and JJ and maybe Christian McCaffrey, if that's how you feel about McCaffrey, and I could understand somebody not liking McCaffrey. Name a player that Bijan, St. Brown, or Walker, they'd completely blast those guys. Name a player that isn't Jamar Chase, Jefferson, maybe Christian McCaffrey, that blows Bijan, St. Brown, and Walker out of the water. Tell me that Bijan, St. Brown, or Walker can't outscore every single person aside from JJ, Jamar Chase, and maybe Christian McCaffrey. Walker could easily be the next guy. Bijan could easily be the next guy. St. Brown could easily be the third wide receiver. Don't draft him there. But my whole point is, why on earth would you want to stay in round 1 when you can draft? Why would you want a steak dinner in round 1 when you can still get prime rib double time in rounds 2 and 3? You can get 2 helpings of prime rib with mashed potatoes loaded, a side salad with ranch, no tomatoes. You can get that twice at the cost of potentially the same meal one time in round 1. Do you understand what I'm throwing down? Cooper Kupp, answer's negative. The answer is negative. Cooper Kupp is not worth Olave and Bijan. And then you get rid of you kick back a 6th rounder. Cooper Kupp's not worth that. Not with Stafford, not with all the potential injury risk. Give me Bijan and Olave over Kupp in that 6th round pick all day long. All day. Give me Burrow. Give me Joseph cigar smoking Burrow and Kenneth Walker over any running back. Not even Christian McCaffrey, let's say. You give me Walker and Burrow over McCaffrey, and let's call this 6th rounder. I don't know. Let's look at the rankings here and let's call the 6th rounder. Metcalf, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I like those guys. I'm not saying they're bad. Monty. I like Monty, but you talking about a 6th round running back like Monty and McCaffrey versus, even if we were to try and not match it up position for position. If you're the sun god grapefruit. Tank or Ryan? Tank or Ryan what? Tank Bigsby? What are we talking about there, Sandu? Round 1 through 5 is worth more than 2nd round 2. I don't know what this means, JC, because what I'm telling you is you trade if you don't have 1 or 2 overall, or maybe 1 and 2 or 3, you trade that 5 overall in a heartbeat for a 2nd and 3rd round pick. If I got you wrong, let me know. James Conner, no thank you. No thank you. I'm a Cardinal fan, and give me James Conner and Cooper Kupp and James Conner over Olave and Bijan. You know I love you, Love Star, but we're talking about Bijan Robinson, bro. We're talking about Bijan. We're talking about this man right here.
Hi, my name is Bijan Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring.
That's what we're talking about, bro. Bijan. We're talking about Bijan. We're not talking about practice. We're talking about Bijan. We're talking about a stud. We're talking about a top 5 running back. We're talking about Bijan and Burrow in round 2 and 3. And Bijan's dipped back into round 2. Bijan won't be going around 2 for long. I mean, that might be true, but right now he's there. Nightmare fuel. Get Bijan. I mean, we might do a Bijan like mustard animation as well. But Man, what a day. What a day. Connor to Planet Uranus says, I don't even know how to say your name, bro. We'll call you Big A. Bijan in Dynasty 1.1. Yeah, I mean, it's that or the two wide receivers. I mean, Jamar Chase, JJ, Bijan. That's really it. I mean, you could argue Walker's right there behind him. Breece Hall's right there behind him. We'll see. James Conner is a moon man. Not in my book. Not on my watch, Love Stars. Not on my watch. That guy's always injured, bro. He's always hurt. He's not. He'll stay healthy. Mike Thomas could stay healthy, I think, about this to the same level. Once Bijan gets drafted, he's going higher. It's weird. People just like the idea of him being an official NFL player. What it is you're attaching the situation to it. He's not just a fictional player. So once he has a team, then you know what his situation is. But he was going higher. Now he's in the second round, bro. He's in the second round. You can go scoop him up in the second round. You keep grabbing him. Keep grabbing him. You got comments like this. Can't count on Breece this year. Sean, didn't you know there was a report, Sean, that came out that Breece Hall was taller than everybody thought? Did you not hear that, Sean? The report that came out yesterday that said Breece Hall was taller than anybody ever thought. Did you not hear that, Sean? Let's wait for Sean's response. Bijan to Tampa Bay or Philly. I hope he doesn't go to Tampa Bay. I hope he goes to Philly. Hope he goes to the Bears. Atlanta's decent, but it does put a fork in Algier, which is kind of a shame. But that's a good spot. The Chargers, if they get rid of Eckler, it's still okay even if they have Eckler, but because they're going to feed Bijan, but you definitely would prefer not to have Eckler there, but for the future it would be good. Look, Dallas would be devastating for Tony Pollard, but he is franchise tagged. He's there for 1 year. Sean, where are you, Sean? Did you hear about the report, Sean, that he was a lot taller than anybody knew? They found new measurements, bro. There's nothing wrong with taking the under on guys coming off an ACL injury. Nothing wrong with taking the under. Nothing wrong with taking the over. But they found out that Breece is a lot taller than they expected. And I'm just waiting to see if Sean had heard the news. But Sean, you got to respond, bro. We're waiting for you, bro. We're all on pins and needles. Have you heard the good news that he's taller? Sean says, yeah, but a year after injury, I can't do it. I take no risk in the fourth round. In the first 4 rounds, I love Breece, just not this year. He's 8 foot tall, bro. The report said so.
Get Breece.
Breece Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Breece. He's Breece.
He does a hull of a job. A hull of a job. A hull of a job.
Breece Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a hell of a job.
Certainly does. Terry dropping a hull of a job on screen here. Smitty, are we drafting underdog this weekend? We draft let me just review it with everybody because people ask me this like every day. It's always the same. We go live on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at midnight Eastern to draft. That is our draft time. It doesn't change. Sometimes I might cancel one every great while if I'm completely exhausted or we have a breaking news live stream like that takes us into like the 8 or 9 o'clock hour. And then I can't, in my time. So like right now I end the show at like 5:36 my time, which is about 9 p.m. Eastern. So if we go into like 9:30 to 10:30, 11 p.m. Eastern for some breaking news, then I usually don't go live. But people ask this question all the time. Hey, when are we going live? We can do a mock draft. Are we going to Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at around midnight Eastern? We mock draft and we do live drafts on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. We never do it outside of those times. We always do it during those times. We never do it really on Wednesday or Monday. So Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We usually don't do it on any Sunday. It's just these days, these will always be the live drafts and mock draft days. So just so everybody is aware of that. Terry Roberts says, Bijan touchdown city, baby. It's coming. Terry Roberts to the moon. Look at Terry Roberts wearing his fancy glasses, ready to draft Bijan like a machine. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you. Terry to the moon. What's Smitty doing for draft day night? Space Ricky, we will be live, my guy. Don't you worry. Terry Roberts will be here in the chat, commanding and moderating like a monster. Space Ricky, you better be here. Denny comes to life at night, Tim. Yeah, we don't really see Denny until later in the evening. You should just record this and replay when people ask. I kind of want to, Travis. I'm going to have a button when someone says, are we drafting tonight? It'll be something like along the lines of this. It'll be like, great question, Steve or Bob or Frank. We'll be drafting later tonight, if tonight's Tuesday or Thursday or Friday or Saturday, because that's when we draft. Every single Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hey, Smitty, it's Monday. Are we drafting? No. Hey, Smitty, it's Wednesday. Are we drafting? No. Hey, Smitty, it's Friday. Are we drafting? Every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now, in people's defense, I don't know. Maybe it's easy to forget. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday, did you say? I get it. I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying. People ask me, are we going to draft tonight? Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Never changes. Never. I'm going to have somebody repeat it. Terry Roberts is correct. Draft day. We will be live on draft day. Draft day will be live for a big portion of the draft, or the entire NFL draft first round. We'll be live but we'll be live, hours before as well. Rockout says, Smitty, you having Chicago pizza draft night? Oh, God, you know what? You saying that makes me want to go get Lou Malnati's pizza right now. That sounds good. You having Chicago pizza draft night? Probably. Now that you mention that, I'm going to have a Lou Malnati's pizza during the draft. Are you drafting tonight, Smitty? I think Max is just trying to... Hold on. We are drafting tonight. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, midnight, Eastern. I'm going to have a robot saying it. If you're drafting at midnight, technically it's the next day. Whatever, grapefruit. Get out of here. This is what I have to say about that.
Wrong. Muy mal.
Let me go back to that. Something's wrong with that. Something's wrong with the wrong.
Wrong. Muy mal.
Create an easy button for Smitty. I'm gonna have a couple. I have a couple easy buttons. I need to create one for that.
You are offer sex. You are made offer sex.
Look at Terry Roberts with the touche moment. Smitty's getting angry Tuesday, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Smitty, when do you get angry? Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Where are the phone calls? Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Lunchbox says, Smitty, so drafts are Friday and when? Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, midnight roughly Eastern. I could get 1.10 and a mid 24 first for JMO. Yeah, look, maybe that could be one of those ones where it's like
Friday.
Yeah, I can hear myself screaming back there. Scotty, what's up? You're live.
Hey, Smitty. I want you to flip the script, man, on Tony Pollard.
Well, technically speaking, I hate to say this, but when someone super chats or calls and asks for that, I can't grant you that because that is a chat movement. I can kind of argue both, but I can't hit the button. I can't make a big spectacle out of it because that is up to the chat. If the chat wants to flip the script, but I will say, you can create a movement in the chat. You could say, hey guys, here, make a plea, Scott. Make a plea. Tell everybody you want them to put the recycle emoji here. Let me play it for everybody.
Once a show, the chat can spam this arrow emoji and force Smitty to flip the script and argue the opposite stance on the topic at hand.
Flip the script.
So you can plead everybody right now if you want. Go ahead. Tell everybody you want me to flip the script on Tony Pollard, but I will warn you, you only get one of those per show. And it's not like everyone's, we're going to use it once per show. But if later on, like a challenge flag, you go, oh my God, I want him to flip the script. You can't do it. Plus, does anybody really want to hear me talk negatively about Tony Pollard in this chat? Probably not. But go ahead, Scott. This floor is yours. I'm going to step away real quick because I got to grab something right here. Talk to the audience. Tell them.
Well, personally, I don't think Dallas is going to leave him as their number one. I think they're going to draft somebody, or they're going to bring somebody in because Tony Pollard is not a number one running back. Anybody wants to dispute that, go for it.
Whoa. What did I walk into? Tony Pollard is not a number one running back. Is this because of his size? Like, what? Give me the reasoning why he's not a number one running back.
He's going to break down, man. He's never had that kind of workload. He can't do it.
But he's never really gotten a shot to do it either. I mean, last year he didn't
but he's been hurt every year.
Well, I mean, he's only 25 years old, my guy. He is. It's not like he's
hurt last year, Smitty.
Well,
he got hurt last year too.
I mean, technically speaking, look at his games. Look at how many games he's missed. I mean, how many games do you think he's missed?
I don't know how many games he's missed, Smitty. I didn't count it up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect you to know it off the top of your head, but like here's just so you know, Tony Pollard, 16 games, 15 games, 16 games, 15 games. I mean, that's pretty good considering he wasn't really even in a starting role until this year, and it wasn't really even starting. It was like 1B to Zeke Elliott's 1A, and this guy had 1,000 yards, 3 100-yard games. 9 touchdowns. Obviously some good receiving production too. I only have the rushing on here. But I mean, he hasn't really missed any time. Like, he broke the leg. It sucks, but I mean, I don't know that we can like literally say, oh, he's an injury-prone guy because he broke his leg. That leg injury should be fine too. I don't think that's something that'll linger. I get if you want to say like he feels like he's not a full-time back, but he's also 6 foot 215. That's actually a big boy. So he's not a small guy, even though some people call him a small guy. He's been electric whenever he's given the opportunity, and he really hasn't been given the opportunity until this last year, and he played 16 games, ran for 1,000 yards, So I get what you're saying. You're skeptical until you see it, but I don't know if I would be so hard stanced on it, man. I'd be a little more open-minded to him. He is not a small man. He is 6 foot 215, my guy.
I ain't saying nothing about his size. I'm saying Dallas is not going to depend on him like what you're thinking, Smitty. I just don't think they're going to do it.
That is a concern. Like if they draft Bijan, I'm not going to lie to you. That is the one red flag. And by the way, nobody wanted to flip the script on that. We love Tony Pollard in here. This is Tony Pollard country. Let's ride. What else you got, Scott?
That's it.
Well, I mean, so where are you comfortable drafting him at all? Like never? Like you just think he's a waste of a pick? Or would you like take him where we got him last year? Like if let's say they brought in, I don't know, Kareem Hunt, and everybody got all petrified. And they're like, oh God, now it's a potential committee. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? Like, would you not take him in round 6? I'm just curious. You're muffled there, Scott.
Yeah, I would take him in round 6. I wouldn't.
Okay. So you don't hate him. You don't hate him. You just don't like him like in round 3.
No, I don't hate him. I just don't think Dallas is going to use him like that. I think Dallas has always had a 1 and a 2, and they've always used 2 running backs.
Well, keep in mind. Well, I don't know if I would say that. Dallas has not always done that. They've had Zeke Elliott for like 55 years. I don't know that I agree with anything that's being said right now, Scott. Scott, you know I love you, pal. You're pulling on my heartstrings here in the wrong direction, but it's okay to disagree with me. I have no problem with this debate. I just don't find anything convincing yet so far in this debate. You're saying that the Dallas Cowboys always have 2 running backs. They don't. Zeke Elliott's been there for 1,000 years as the main guy, and it wasn't until this year that they used both backs the way they did. So I don't really understand that comment. But I'll also say that Tony Pollard just got franchise tagged. So, like, you think they're going to franchise tag him and not use him?
No, they're going to use him.
I don't know, bro.
I mean, he did really good at the end of the year last year. I mean, I'm not trying to put him down. I just don't think he's a number 1.
Well, you could be right if they draft Bijan, and then we're all going to be so pissed off. And you're going to be right. You're going to be right. But I don't know that your logic of why he's going to be bad is lining up for me. Like, you're not saying Bijan is going to rain on all your parades. Be careful. Then I'd be like, Scott, watch your mouth. You could be right, but watch your mouth. But, like, you're coming in and saying that Pollard's, like, it's almost feeling like you're saying he's not good enough to be the number 1 there, and it could be about Dallas misusing him, and you have said that too, but I don't know, bro. You don't franchise tag a guy for $10 million and not at least give him what you gave him last year plus a little bit more. So let's say he gets 215 carries, he has 1,100 yards, he has 10 rushing touchdowns. What was his receiving totals? His receiving totals were pretty stellar as well. 39 receptions. Okay, so let's give him 1,100 yards, 205 totes of the rock. The guy averages 5.2 yards per carry, my man. He's going to get 300 or 400-yard games. Let's call it 9 TDs again on the ground. Let's say he doesn't have a single additional rushing touchdown, which he probably will. He had 3 receiving TDs. That is 12 touchdowns. He had 39 receptions for 371. Let's just call it 45 for 400. That is literally a 1,500-yard, 12 touchdown, 40-plus reception receiving back if he's given last year's work, but just a little bit more, meaning they need somebody in there to take to run the ball about the same amount. So like imagine if they didn't bring in somebody to run the ball the same amount, then he's going to get way more than this. So I don't know. I feel like Pollard is set up to weather through anything unless it's Charbonnet or Bijan. And then we have to panic, and there's a risk for that. There's a risk, but I appreciate
your. I mean, I'll eat my words.
I hope you do, but I will say that I appreciate your opinion, and I don't want you to think you don't have like any leg to stand on with it. But it's just I don't. Some of the things that you're arguing, I don't know that I agree with. Like Zeke Elliott's been the lone running back there for a long time. Pollard isn't injury prone. He's played 16, 15 games back-to-back seasons, so he hasn't missed much time at all. I don't know. Scott, what else you got? Give me something else.
I ain't got nothing else, Smitty.
You don't got nothing else? It's all It's
It was
just
the only thing that was nagging me.
It's just Pollard. Pollard, you don't have who's your guy? Who's your guy that everyone else is doubting that you like? Receiver, running back type.
Nobody's doubting. Kenneth Walker is my number one.
Hey, let's celebrate that. Okay, Scott. I mean, you and I are on the same wavelength all of a sudden. We're like best friends, bunk beds, karate in the garage, like Denny says. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you on this one. What do you think Walker's going to finish as? Running back 2, 3, 4, 5?
I think he's looking at somewhere between 2 and 4.
Yeah, bro, he's electric. Electric. He is the reason we have the Moon Men. Did you know that? I started talking about.
I remember last year.
I talked about him being a space monster. That in open space he gravitates toward it like no other. He's like a spaceman, and then it just started just from that point on. Moon Men this, Moon Men that. Walker's the originator, the founder of the Moon Men. The founder. He and I founded it together.
I was all in on him, and I still am. So.
Yeah, you should be. He's the man, bro. You like Charbonnet?
Yeah, I do. I haven't watched enough of his tapes. I've watched some, but I haven't watched enough. But yeah, I do like what I've seen.
You only need to watch 1 minute of it, and you'll be hooked. So go give it a little play. I promise you. It sounds like you haven't watched any of it, which is fine.
No, I have watched him.
Go watch about 5 minutes straight of it, and then you'll walk out into your living room, and you won't be able to be tackled. You can, your wife, your kids, they're gonna all try and hold you back, and just plow right through them, bro. It's like when you play like GTA too long and you get in your car and you almost want to like run over sidewalks and stuff. You watch enough Zach Charbonnet footage, you'll walk out into your living room and start leveling things. Take out the TV. Nothing's going to hold you back. You think you're Superman. Zach Charbonnet cannot be tackled. All right, Scott. Appreciate you, man. Call in anytime.
I'm just really excited about the draft.
Yeah, me too. I'll be live for the entire thing, so you know where to come.
I'll be there.
All right, later, pal. Yeah, we'll be live for the entire NFL draft. I'll do a promo on it, promoting. Where are you going to be on draft day? Right here is where you're going to be, because we're going to be live. 3 minutes is all you need. That's a slogan that a lot of men have been using from the beginning of time, but we're using it in a lot of contexts. 3 minutes is all you need. 3 minutes is all you need of watching Zach Charbonnet footage, of a lot of other things, but 3 minutes is all that's needed. Charbonnet is an absolute monster as a rookie. Mike, he's going to be amazing. He's going to be amazing. There's a reason we get Charbonnet here.
Get Charbonnet. Pop open a nice bottle of Charbonnet.
Do it. Do it live. Do it live. Moon Man.
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
Mars Man.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars Men. Loads dropping and spinning aimlessly in space.
I mean, we don't do this for the fun of it. There's a rhyme and reason to what we do. We don't have all this Charbonnet material.
Get Charbonnet.
Why would we have all this if we were playing around? We're not playing around. We're not playing around. Can we get a couple of Charbonnet champagne emojis in the live chat, please? We also have a Charbonnet emoji. We have a new Charbonnet emoji that your boy Smitty spent a lot of time on, about 3.5 minutes making this emoji, and I don't even see it being used as much as it should be being used. I see a couple people using it. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. But we've got to get this Charbonnet emoji used on the regular. And if anybody wants to get this ability to use the Charbonnet emoji, let me go ahead and drop the link to become a YouTube exclusive member. YouTube exclusive members get to drop the Charbonnet emojis. There they are. I see them. I'm going to pin that if you want to become a YouTube exclusive member for just a measly $1.99 a month to support this channel. Have the green name. Show everybody you're a supporter. Charbonnet. We need a sun god emoji. We might. We also have this new emoji as well. Get a Lavid. Get a Lavid. Lots of sleeper talent in this draft class for running backs. Yeah, I agree. Sean Tucker is one of them. Kendre Miller is another one. We love this running back class. It's a really talented running back class. Very, very talented. Terry's dropping them. Terry's dropping the double Charbonnet Olave combination. Attaboy, Terry. What about Denny? A Denny emoji. What would that even be? What would we even put as a Denny emoji? An empty chair? You know, as he vanishes, maybe a football, slinging it. Maybe we put Smitty slings it. What will we even put for a Denny emoji? A cocktail? Denny's car? Need a Fields emoji? We need a Fields emoji. Do we not have a Fields emoji? I thought we did. I thought we had a Fields emoji. If we were to take away an emoji, because they only allow you so many per capita of your YouTube exclusive members, what will we take away? We're not taking away Avatar. We're not taking away Ron Navy. We're not taking away Michael K. CPA. We're not taking away this one. Which one could we take away? I suppose we could take away the Mars. No, we don't have Mars. There's no emoji for Mars. There's only the moon. So we need to keep that. We need to keep the take a lap. We need to keep the Hurts, Garrett Wilson. I don't think we can take any away. I think we just got to wait patiently for more emojis to open up. We're not taking away Breece Hall. We're not taking away Kenny Walker. Terry Roberts says he left another voicemail. Let's get on over to the voicemails and let's play these. Terry.
Smitty, your thoughts on CD Lamb this year? We really haven't talked about him a whole lot.
I like Lamb. Of course I like Lamb. Lamb's a baller. Lamb's a monster. But I think the worry and concern I have is that McCarthy's calling plays now. They want to run the damn ball, he said. We don't really know what that's going to entail. We don't really know what they're going to do. Kind of a little bit fearful of how it's all going to play out. Given his top 9 overall ADP, I just find myself almost avoiding him more than drafting him, but not because I doubt him. I love CeeDee Lamb, but he did get picked up on his contract extension here, or his option, I'm sorry. And we haven't talked about that yet. But I do find myself like not avoiding him, just not super. The Chiefs, Brett Veach said the team will wait until after the draft to make a decision on running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire's 5th-year option. I highly doubt they pick that up. I think they potentially trade him, but I don't know that there's not going to be a lot of teams that are willing to trade for him except for Joe Burrow and the Bengals, which would be a phenomenal pairing, to be honest. I would absolutely love that. I would love to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire get a shot one more time with his college quarterback who calls him one of the best, if not the best player he's ever played with, which, you know, it could just be Burrow being nice. I'm not saying that there's truth necessarily to what he said, but we do need to take into account that Burrow is a smart man that knows what he's doing. And he very rarely makes a mistake. He's calm, cool, and collected. And if Joe Burrow loves CEH, I think we all should give CEH one more try if he gets sent back into the Bengals. Cowboys exercised CeeDee Lamb's 5th-year option with the team. This pays Lamb a boatload of money next year, but not this year. A boatload being $17.9 million, fully guaranteed in 2024. So this is a good thing for CeeDee Lamb as well, to get that 5th-year option. That's a bunch of money. He's gonna. I mean, yeah, he could sign a big fat contract extension, but he's gonna do that anyway. And they may do that. You know, they may figure out a way to ink him to a longer deal, but he could also be franchise tagged the next year. So it's not like a team has to sign a guy because they're afraid to lose him coming into that year. They can certainly franchise tag him the next season. But 24-year-old CeeDee Lamb, fully guaranteed, $17.9 million in 2024 has been picked up. Has been picked up. Let Denny know the guys miss him. I can't let him know, bro. I don't talk to Denny on the side, you know. Oh, Tim says I'll let him know. Tim says can't wait to call and talk about Denny. I'll let Denny know you guys miss him. Tim, are you friends with Denny? I misread this at first. I thought you were telling me to call him. I'm like, I don't have Denny's number, bro. Tim, are you like buddies with Denny? Is he like your pal? Can't trust Dak and McCarthy. I mean, there's a lot of red flags for Lamb at number 8 or 9 overall. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I don't love him. Not saying he's a bust. Smitty, where do your love for Burrow come from? I am not player evaluation, belief, bold predictions, having a bold prediction come true. Jalen Hurts, I'm very, very pro Jalen Hurts. Why? Because he was a bold prediction. He was a guy that a lot of people doubted, and we supported him. So you grow fond of some of your predictions, and it's not like I've become very good at not digging my heels in, though, with bias and like Javonte. As much as I loved and promoted Javonte, you would think if I'm a biased man that allows bias to get infected into my content. I mean, we all have bias. We all struggle with it. I still struggle with it every day. The bias in, okay, I pumped this guy up, or I'm talking this guy up. You know, if something bad comes on about Breece Hall tomorrow that's semi-bad but not really bad, am I going to have bias involved and say, it's not that big of a deal yet? Or will I be objective? Like, I feel like I do a pretty darn good job about being objective, but we're all biased. We all allow bias to creep in. But I think my actions in not supporting Javonte like I'm supporting Breece are evident that I can make a determination and not really bat an eye. I don't have investments like everybody thinks I do, where I'm so invested in a player because of a prediction that I won't do the right thing, you know, and say what I feel and just go, let's double down. I don't do that. So when you say, where's my love for Joe Burrow come from? It doesn't come from a place of bias. It comes from a place of, I see with my eyeballs that this guy is the next Patrick Mahomes. And he's so calm, cool, and collective. This man's like he's either he's got the temperament and ability to weather through high pressure situations with no increased heart rate, like a serial killer. That's what they've really compared him to that. Like he has the ability, if he was in a bank and let's say something was going down or there's some kind of crazy situation going on, this guy would be calm, cool, and collective when everyone else is panicking. Their heart rates are racing. This guy would just be like, it'd be like nothing. Him being in a plane crash or something, his heart rate would probably not even increase. And he'd probably be like, okay, well, what's the next step here? Oh, there's a door there. Okay, I'll just crouch down, hold my legs. If I end up surviving, I'll swim out and I'll call for help. We'll build a raft. Like this guy doesn't even waver. That's not a joke. His heart rate doesn't rise under weird, crazy situations. That's what a lot of his coaches will tell you, and previous coaches. They call him Joe Cool for a reason. Joe Cool. Completely calm, cool, and collective. Guy's monotone. I respect it. I love it. I see greatness in him. I see the next Patrick Mahomes. His cool, collective demeanor and ability to think calm, cool, and collective, and his skill set on top of that is going to give him multiple championships. He will win multiple Super Bowls. Burrow took the Bengals to the Super Bowl in his second year. I knew watching him at LSU. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying he keeps failing to win one. Really? That's what you take away from him going to the Super Bowl, winning the division, making an appearance, and everybody just being like, wow. This kid keeps failing. No thanks. I'm all about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's going to be winning Super Bowls very, very soon. All right, guys, I'm out of here for today. Appreciate you all. Hit that thumb up button on your way out the door. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back tonight for some drafting, okay? Because we draft Monday through Friday. I'm sorry, we're live Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Live whenever news breaks, and I'm live doing live drafts at Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, midnight-ish Eastern. Get out of here.